Have you ever just had a scene that wasn't working as you were trying to write it? No matter what words you put down, just nothing felt good about it? Hi, welcome back to Writer Makes Videos, and today I'm going to be sharing my favorite tricks for getting through a scene and figuring out why it's not working, tried and true by yours truly. So we've all been there. I mean, at least if you're a writer or if you're considering writing, you've come across a time when you're trying to write a scene and it's just not going the way that you want it to. So I've compiled a list of my favorite sort of tricks to get through figuring out why a scene isn't working, and I'm going to share them with you today. So the first one is what I like to call 10 steps back, and it's not an original idea of mine. I found this on a thread, I think, or someone else's post. I don't know who. If there is an original progenitor of this, feel free to let me know in the comments, but I couldn't find anything. I just know that I didn't exactly make it up myself. So basically 10 steps back is that you're writing and suddenly you stop. You know where the scene is supposed to go, but you can't seem to get it there. The what's wrong you ask your fingertips as you tap aimlessly at your keyboard. So the idea with 10 steps back is you go literally 10 lines back. You count the periods or wherever you need to go 10 steps behind where you currently are. And it doesn't always help, but sometimes you find that there's a snag in the couple of rows that you previously had written. It's either a tricksy phrase or a clunky line or a truth that doesn't quite work anymore. And then you can go ahead and fix it. And oftentimes I have found that it's actually true, and then I can continue onward. The second one is one that I definitely made up because of the title. It's called Can You Smell That? And for some reason you aren't feeling connected to the scene. There's something missing from either your characters or the atmosphere, and you can't quite pinpoint what it is. Take a breath. Maybe literally as you're like sitting there hyperventilating on trying to figure out what to write next. But for these purposes, also figuratively, what does the scene smell like? Scent is one of the strongest senses, and for good reason. And sometimes catching a whiff of the forest or the tavern that you're in, or the tavern that your characters are in, can help ground the scene as a whole, and perhaps help you figure out where it is you need to have them go next, because you should always trust your nose. The next one is sounds better when I say it. Quite literally. After doing a chunk of writing, or if grounding myself in preparation for writing, I reread the last bit of my work aloud. This is especially helpful for dialogue. If it doesn't sound natural when you hear it aloud, it likely isn't going to feel natural to your reader. Characters are people. You need to make sure they talk like a people's. So, bonus, you might even find mistakes in your writing. I have found numerous mistakes just by reading aloud and finding that it's a clunky phrase or a wrong word or something. It helps tremendously to read aloud. The next one is mood music, and I love this because music adds an extra element to writing a scene. At least for me, I have found that my writing can actually kind of veer off in the direction that the music is going. So if it's turning into a more jolly tune, the scene tends to be pretty light. If it's delving into some deeper kind of spookiness, I find that my writing also tends to drive that way. So as you're sitting there, boiling, mashing, and sticking keys into your word stew, ambient music can bring the scene to life. No words, just sounds of nature, or a conversational scene, or a quiet library, or a spooky forest, as I've mentioned. You'll be surprised how easily your brain sets itself up to envision what you're writing, and perhaps help you discover something new based on the sounds it's picking up. Like in some of the ambient noises that I have playing in the background, I will hear like a bird cawing, or a shuffling of grass or a stamping of a hoof, and then it'll remind me of all of the extra elements that are happening in the scene that I'm currently writing that perhaps I wasn't really paying attention to before. And so YouTube has a plethora of imaginative scenes and music, and I never write without it. Next is having an alpha reader. So this is someone you trust with your whole life to read the drivel that is your first draft. My sibling and I have a system where I write a section of a chapter and they read it live with me. So this allows both of us to get our fix in for the book. They are luckily obsessed with it, so it's helpful in a way because they're also obsessed with it, but they're also critical of it. Like if something isn't working or if there is a moment that they feel doesn't really make sense, they'll actually let me know, and it's incredibly helpful to go through it that way. And it helps me gauge whether or not something is hitting like it's supposed to. If there's a scene that I want really impactful and they read it and it's just kind of like a blasé reading of it, they kind of scan over the part that I was writing and hoping that they would be really jazzed about, then I know that it's not hitting as well as it should, and I either try it on someone else just to see if the vibe was off, or I ask my sibling if like there's something I could do to improve it, and oftentimes they will tell me. Looking at my words from a different lens has let me find all of the typos early, which again makes editing so much easier in the long run. Seeing it projected on someone else's like Discord as I'm reading along with them, I go, there's quite a bit in there that I need to fix. And then I'll be on the side actually like fixing my manuscript. That's all I have today. It's a really short video. I just wanted to get something out because I've been really busy trying to get the Shattered Shores together, and it's just been quite a hectic time for me, but I really hope you enjoyed this video, this kind of really easy tricks for writing, and I will see you in the next one.